Here are 25 insane Steam games on sale this month, with discounts up to 96% off. We've got deals from all kinds of game genres, from insane shooters to engaging story-driven games. I am going to start this list with one of my favorite co-op games ever, Deep Rock Galactic, which is 70% off at $8.99. And trust me, this is one of the best co-op games on Steam. I might be biased a little, but just try it out yourself. You and up to 3 friends play as space dwarves mining on bug-infested planets. The teamwork feels natural, every class actually matters, and the community is genuinely one of the friendliest out there. Then we got this classic Tom Clancy's The Division at 90% off for $2.99. And honestly, for that price, it is worth picking up just to see what the hype was about back in the day. You are in a post-pandemic New York that looks incredible, and the atmosphere is genuinely one of the best parts of the game. Walking through a snowy, abandoned Manhattan never gets old. The cover-based shooting feels solid, and looting gear to build your character out is satisfying. It does start to feel repetitive in the later hours, and the endgame is not what it used to be. But for under $3, you are getting a good chunk of fun content before that sets in. Or, if you got some extra dollars, you should go for Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is 80% off at $9.99. And this one is a massive open-world tactical shooter set in Bolivia where you are hunting down a drug cartel. The map is genuinely huge, and you can approach most missions however you want. Sneaking in quietly, going in loud, calling in air support, it is all up to you. Solo it is still fun, but where it really shines is with friends because coordinating takedowns and accidentally blowing each other's cover makes every mission feel different. The story is nothing special, and the AI teammates can be a little brain-dead sometimes, but for $10 and the sheer amount of content you get, it is hard to complain. Then we got Batman Arkham Knight at 80% off for $3.99. And this is a great way to close out the Arkham series if you have been playing through them. Gotham looks stunning, the combat is as smooth as ever, and gliding around the city at night with the full Batman suit still feels awesome. The story hits hard, especially if you are invested in the characters from the previous games. The Batmobile gets used a lot, and not everyone loves that. Some sections lean on it way too heavily, and it can feel forced. But the core Batman experience, the combat, the stealth, the gadgets, it is all polished. Or you could also check out Batman Arkham Origins, which is also 80% off at $3.99. And this one is a bit of a hidden gem in the series, honestly. A lot of people skipped it because it was not made by Rocksteady, but it tells a really solid story about a younger Batman on Christmas Eve with 8 assassins hunting him down. The boss fights are some of the best in the entire series, and it actually adds some real emotional depth to the Batman and Joker relationship that pays off later. Then we have this totally free surprise from Steam called Deponia, 100% off, so there is literally no reason not to grab it. It is a point-and-click adventure game with a really goofy main character and a surprisingly fun story. The humor is all over the place, and it keeps things entertaining the whole way through. If you have never played a point-and-click before, this is honestly a great starting point. Then we got Hitman World of Assassination, which is 90% off at $2.99. And this is genuinely one of the most creative stealth games ever made. You are dropped into massive, detailed levels, and your job is to take out a target, but the way you do it is entirely up to you. You can poison their drink, cause an accident, disguise yourself as a chef, and challenge them to a duel. The options are almost ridiculous. Every level is basically a giant puzzle, and replaying them to find new ways to do things never gets old. For under $3, you are getting an enormous amount of content, and one of the most satisfying gameplay loops in the genre. Next is Black Desert, which is at a massive 90% off at just 99 cents. And for literally $1, you get access to one of the most visually impressive MMOs out there. The character creation alone is worth talking about because it is probably the most detailed one in any game right now. It's got fast, flashy combat that feels great, nothing like the slow tab targeting style of older MMOs. That said, this game has a very steep progression system, and the monetization can get pushy the deeper you go. It is not something you just pick up and casually enjoy forever. Then we got City Skylines at 90% off for just $2.99, and if you have ever wanted to build and manage your own city, this is the one to get. You control everything: roads, power, water, public transport, zoning, all of it. It's also one of those games that keeps you hooked for a very long time. It sounds overwhelming at first, but once it clicks, it becomes one of those games you open for an hour and close 4 hours later. Then we got Dead Space at 85% off at $8.99. And this remake is absolutely worth it. You are stuck on a dead spaceship full of grotesque creatures, and the whole thing is designed to make you feel alone and terrified. The sound design alone will mess with you. It is a slow, heavy, intense horror game, and one of the best in the genre. Then we have Human Fall Flat at 70% off for $5.99. And this one is pure fun, especially with friends. I am sure you already know about this as well. It's a game where you control a wobbly little character trying to solve physics puzzles, and the lack of control is literally the whole joke. Now, if you are into racing games, we got a pretty awesome deal on the Crew Motorfest, which is 90% off at $6.99. And this is one of those games that is just made to be enjoyed casually. You are racing across a version of Hawaii, and the variety of events is genuinely impressive. Street racing, off-road, boat races, plane sequences, it keeps switching things up so it never gets stale too fast. The cars look great, and the world is colorful and fun to drive around in. It is not trying to be a serious sim. It knows what it is and leans into it. The live service elements and the push to buy extra content can get annoying, and it does not have the depth of something like Forza, but as a chill arcade racer for $7, it delivers a good time. Speaking of fun simulators, we also got Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which is 66% off at $6.79. And this one is just pure, unfiltered fun. You place wobbly little units on a battlefield and watch them stumble into each other in the most hilarious way possible. There is actual strategy involved in figuring out which units counter which, but the real joy is just watching the physics do insane things you did not expect. Like watching Zeus defeat a whole army of zombies. For fun. It is the kind of game you open to mess around for 20 minutes and end up losing 2 hours to. Then we have Warhammer Vermintide 2, which is also 90% off at $2.99. And if you like co-op games where you are hacking through massive hordes of enemies with friends, this one is a blast. You pick from a set of heroes, each with their own weapons and abilities, and fight your way through wave after wave of rats and insane warriors. The melee combat has real weight to it. You can feel every swing connecting, and the tension when a horde suddenly hits while you are already low on health is genuinely stressful in the best way. Not sure if you guys heard about Slime Rancher, but it's a fun shooter at 75% off at $4.99. And this game is basically a warm hug in game form. You are a rancher on an alien planet collecting and raising little slimes, building out your farm, exploring new areas, and figuring out how to combine different slimes to maximize your income. It sounds simple, and it kind of is, but there is something genuinely relaxing about the whole loop that makes it hard to put down. It never stresses you out. It never punishes you. It just lets you play at your own pace and enjoy the world. Then we have Celeste at 75% off at $4.99. And this is one of those games that stays with you long after you finish it. On the surface, it is a tight precision platformer where you are climbing a mountain and the controls feel incredibly responsive. Every jump and dash feels exactly how you want it to. But underneath all of that is a genuinely emotional story about anxiety and self-doubt that is handled with a lot of care and honesty. It gets challenging, but it never feels unfair, and there are assist options if you just want to experience the story without the difficulty. Next is Steins Gate Zero at 80% off at $6.99. And if you have already played the original Steins Gate, this is an easy recommendation. It is a visual novel that follows an alternate timeline and digs even deeper into the characters and the emotional weight of the story. The writing is excellent, and there are moments in this that hit harder than almost anything in the first game. If you have not played the original though, do not start here. Go back and play that first because you will be completely lost otherwise, and you will also spoil one of the best stories in the genre for yourself. Then we have Little Nightmares 2, one of the best indie games I'd played. It's currently 67% off at $9.89, and this game is a masterclass in atmosphere. You are a small kid navigating a deeply unsettling world full of grotesque, oversized enemies, and every single environment is dripping with dread and detail. The art direction is stunning in a dark, twisted way, and the sound design makes everything feel 10 times more tense. It is not a long game. You can finish it in around 5 or 6 hours, and some of the later chase sequences can get a little frustrating. But as an experience, it is unforgettable. Then we got this blast of a game called GTFO at 67% off at $13.19. And this is one of the hardest and most intense co-op games you will ever play. You and up to 3 friends are dropped into a dark underground facility full of sleeping monsters, and the goal is to complete objectives without waking everything up. When things go wrong and the whole room wakes up, it turns into pure panic, and you need to actually communicate and work together or you are done. This is not a casual game at all. It demands patience, coordination, and a willingness to fail a lot before things click. But when a run finally comes together, it feels incredibly rewarding. Just make sure you have a solid group before buying this one, because solo or with randoms, it is a very different and much harder experience. Speaking of blasting games, we also got World War Z at 75% off at $7.49. And if you have ever watched the movie and thought the zombie swarms looked insane, this game lets you live that. Hundreds of zombies pile on top of each other, forming literal walls and towers trying to reach you, and holding them back with your team is packed with action and satisfying. It is not a deep game, the story is forgettable and the characters are thin, but the moment-to-moment gameplay of setting up defenses and mowing through massive hordes with friends is genuinely a lot of fun. Then we have this insane fighting game called Stick Fight the Game. Well, yeah, it's 60% off at $1.99, and for literally $2, this is one of the best party games you can buy. You and up to 3 friends beat each other up as stick figures across hundreds of tiny, chaotic maps, and the physics make everything unpredictable and hilarious. The weapons drop randomly, stages change constantly, and half the time you die laughing at what just happened rather than being upset about losing. There is no deep progression, no unlocks, no story. It is just pure local and online multiplayer chaos, and it commits to that completely. Then we have Ruiner, which is 90% off at $1.99. And this one is a cyberpunk top-down shooter that just oozes style. The neon visuals, the aggressive soundtrack, and the fast, brutal combat all come together in a way that feels really cohesive. You are constantly dashing, shooting, and smashing through waves of enemies, and the skill point system lets you build your playstyle in different directions. Again, it is not a very long game, and the story can be a bit hard to follow at times, but the gameplay feels great from start to finish, and the whole aesthetic is genuinely cool. Then we have RoboCop Rogue City, which is currently 75% off at $10. And this game surprised a lot of people when it came out because it actually gets RoboCop right. You feel heavy, powerful, and slow in exactly the way the character should feel, and shooting through enemies with the Auto 9 never gets old. The story fits right in with the tone of the original movies, and there are enough callbacks and references to make any fan of the franchise smile. It is not trying to reinvent anything. It is a straightforward first-person shooter, but it is a really well-made one, and the devs clearly had a lot of respect for the source material. While we're talking about superhero games, we also have Injustice 2, which is 90% off at $4.99. And this is one of the best superhero fighting games ever made. The roster is packed with DC characters. The story mode is surprisingly well written and cinematic, and the gear system that lets you customize and upgrade your fighters adds a layer that keeps you coming back. The combat is accessible enough for casual players, but has enough depth for people who want to get competitive with it. If you have any interest in fighting games or DC characters, this is a no-brainer at $5. Then we have Soul Calibur 6, which is 90% off at $5.99. And this is a fantastic entry point into the series if you have never played it before. The combat is built around weapons, and it feels completely different from other fighting games. Every character has a distinct style, and learning the matchups is genuinely fun. The character creation is one of the deepest in any fighting game, and people have made some absolutely wild things with it. The story modes are decent, and there is a good amount of single-player content to work through before you take things online. The online player base is not massive anymore, but for $6, you are getting one of the most polished and content-rich fighting games available at this price point. So yeah, guys, these are some of the best deals going on Steam right now. Make sure to check these deals as soon as you can because the discounts are always near ending. There's many more games out there. Hopefully, you will find some good ones. Comment down your favorite game from this list, and if you loved this video, please drop a like on it.